To be or not to be? That was the question. To be or not to be? Whether it is nobler in the mind, yes. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer. Does anybody know the rest? Little shakes. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. And? Know the rest? That was it? Let's take a deep breath. To be or not to be, that was the question. The question was asked by Hamlet. Should I live or should I die? What's the use? I'm stuck in the suffering of my mind, in these outrageous fortunes, or rather misfortunes, that I'm experiencing. Do I want to be here or do I want to go? What do I do? Can I put myself out of this misery? Asked Hamlet, written by William Adamus Shakespeare. You laugh. So, dear Shambra, the question now is to be aware or not to be aware. That is the question. That is the true question. To be aware or not to be aware. And I ask each one of you as we open this segment, what is the answer? To be aware or not to be aware? To be aware or not, because the reality is that you are in the Middle Lands. You are in the Middle Lands. One eye open, one eye shut, walking in a world of humans with two eyes closed. In the Middle Lands, not sure what goes next, in the dreaded, despicable Middle Lands of awakening, where there is a desire for hope, but yet at times so bleak, so gray, and so dreamless. In that Middle Lands that causes you to want to take many steps back to that old reality where all walked with eyes shut. And you now walking in the Middle Lands amongst your fellow humans, one eye open. How do you explain to them what awareness is? The blind man, the blind people, the blind group of humans, and just one eye open you have. How do you explain to them when they beg and beckon for you to come back to that old reality, to that old place of no awareness? You with one eye open and one eye still closed. How do you explain awareness to those who have both eyes closed? How could you possibly explain sight to those who are blind? How could you possibly explain what it is to have some deep inner churning of the soul and the heart? To want to move quickly out of the old ways and the patterns of humans, but yet not knowing where you're going to. How do you explain to those with no sight whatsoever? How do you explain the world you are leaving without knowing the world that you are entering? In the Netherlands, in the Middle Lands of awakening, that's exactly where you are. You have no idea that the words I speak to you are of truth or just of some another delirious mind. You have no idea if there is such a thing as an ascended master. You're in the Middle Lands, but you know in your heart that you cannot go back to the world of the blind, to the world of the unaware. And even though you try to do that at times, you try so desperately to return back to that place from where you came, but you can't go back with one eye still open. You can't seem to close both of them. So here you are, drifting on an endless sea, drifting on this sea of troubles, not knowing whether you are aware or unaware, not knowing what comes next. And what do you have to resort to? Not words that others say, not simply the hope that's in your heart. What you have to rely on is you and only you. What you have to rely on goes far beyond the mind, because the mind is the strangest of all the aspects. Let it out, my dear, let it out. The mind is the strangest of all the aspects. You can no longer rely on the mind. It has deceived you. It has created illusions that it has had you believe to be real, when in your heart you know they are not. What you have to rely on is you, but yet unsure of who you are. Still trying to find you in this endless sea of troubles. Still trying to identify you, something that simply cannot be done. So you dive deeper. You dive deeper into you. And you come to the point of realizing that you is not who you thought you were whatsoever. The you that you have known was simply a creation of a mind that was conceived here on earth, that was developed here on earth, refined and programmed here on earth. The mind, the strangest of all the aspects, not you whatsoever. So where do you find you? Certainly beyond the mind, even beyond the heart. You find you in those darkest hours that you've had, those dreadful, horror-like, nightmarish, dark hours that you've had. Each and every one of you have had them. Those dark hours when you know there is no going back to the world of the blind and the unaware. Those dark hours when you wonder, who am I? Those dark hours where you wonder, to be or not to be. Should I terminate this? How can I release myself from this trap? How can I release myself from this mental anguish and this physical pain and this lack of knowingness? Those dark hours when you come to the deepest, the simplest, and the truest of truths. The only thing that matters is I exist. That's it. I exist. And from that simplest, most truthful of places, a place that defies the mind and even the heart, a place that defies all of your previous experiences, any beliefs that you ever had, anything that you thought to be good or bad, real or unreal. This place of I exist, the simplest of all truths, is where you find you. Not surrounded by anything, anyone else. Not confused by the world of the blind, not confused by the world of your mind, or your desperate attempts to save an identity of yourself. In that simplest of places, I exist, is where you start to hear the beat, the rhythm of your soul. I exist. Therefore, I am. It's all that matters. All that matters. To be aware or not to be aware, such a torturous question, such a torturous middle land you find yourselves in. But, my dear friends, you have felt, even if it is only for a moment of time, you have felt there is something deep within you, something that doesn't rely on any other human, something that doesn't care about your past, your health, your intelligence, your looks, or your money. Been aware of a few times of that existence of the self. Sometimes it is but a fleeting moment and then disappears back into the darkness, into the abyss. But you remember, it was there. It's always been there. It never goes into the darkness or into an abyss. It is never lost. It is only you. You. Still in the world of the blind, still in a type of hypnotic living. Still wondering how to make yourself better, how to make yourself perfect. It is you that actually goes back into the darkness, because the existence, the I am, is always there, always waiting, always knowing. It does not care if you go into your own personal crisis, into chaos, into crash and burn. It does not care, because it knows you are always there. The I am. It does not care if you were a queen or a king, or if you were the richest being in all the world. It does not care if you succumb to the demons and the dragons of yourself or the others in the blind world around you, because it's always there. It doesn't care about good days or bad days. It doesn't care if you drink too much, smoke too much, sleep too much, or eat too much. It does not care. It does not care if you are having emotional difficulties with others, if others are using and abusing you. It does not care. It does not care one bit about your spirituality, about your religion, about your beliefs, about your affirmations and confirmations, or any of your illusions, because it is beyond illusion. It is your existence. It's there. You've touched upon it. Perhaps when you were very young, perhaps that's what set you off sailing and searching to find how to bring it into this reality, how to bring it into your life. And although your mind has tried to take this, the simplest and most joyful of all consciousness, tried to take it and mold it to this world of the blind and the unaware, take it and mold it to what it feels its extra identity should be, it will never, ever, ever be captured by the mind, by the human identity. It can never be corrupted, destroyed. It can never be put in front of or behind anything else, including spirit. It's always there. The existence. I exist. Never forget this. Ever, ever, ever. Never forget this. In the darkest moments and in the most joyful moments. Take a deep breath. I exist. It is the truth of truths. It doesn't take anybody else to bring that into your awareness. There's only you that can do that. There is no power in it, no power whatsoever. No energy in it whatsoever. It is not surrounded by anything. It is unto itself. It is not glorified by God. It is not pampered to by the angels. It does not exist in time or space. It is the existence, the I am that I am. Take a deep breath, my dear friends. No game shows today. No game shows today. So you're in this rather odd place, this middle lands of awakening. I've said it before, perhaps it still hasn't touched you, that this is the grandest time of all. This is the grandest time of all, a time of celebration of understanding existence within the world of the blind. Am I being too hard by calling this the world of the blind? Absolutely not. But there's a reason they are blind. There's a reason why you were blind. I don't want to get too philosophical, intellectual about it right now, but there was a reason. Now you're emerging from that. You chose to crawl out of that reality. Oh, it's still trying to drag you by the feet and pull you back in, still with all of its seductive forces that work on your mind, that work on your emotions and your heart, especially if there are other people involved in your life, still trying to get you to come back into the world of the blind. But it cannot be done. Oh, you've tried, and when you have, you find you cannot pretend to be asleep when you are partially awake. So what to do next? You open the other eye. You open the other eye. So it begs the question, why isn't the other eye open now? Yeah. Good question. I'll give you a bit of an answer. Awakening, becoming aware, can be very overwhelming. You open one eye and you see what's really out there, and you see who you really are. And just the thought of having to open the other eye, the intensity, the true intensity of that awareness can be overwhelming. So you stop for a bit, and you walk with one eye open, one eye closed, and you continue walking in the world of the blind, but once in a while, coming together with other one-eye beings. And you're waiting for someone else to open that other eye first, and then to say, how was it to have both eyes open? How overwhelming, how beautiful. What did you gain? What did you lose from it? Did you die? Did you want to die when you opened that other eye? Waiting for someone else to do it, to open that other eye. But much like you, with one eye open, trying to go back into the world of the blind and explain to them what vision is, it will be very difficult, very, very difficult for one with both eyes open to explain this reality to one with one eye closed, you see. And the only thing you can do at that point as a two-eyed open being, the only thing to do at that point is to look another in the eyes, letting them see both. Words do not need to be spoken. Actions do not need to be taken. Simply letting them see into the eyes, both eyes, of an awakened, enlightened being. It's that simple. That simple. Everything that would need to be said is said in this instant, you see. It's that simple. That simple. My dear friends, this middle lands of awakening, I cursed it. I tried running from it. I tried pretending that it wasn't there. Yet I look back on it now, such a significant, beautiful, poignant time. Please enjoy it. Please do enjoy it. Because you'll look back with two eyes at some point and realize the significance of what you're doing. Really, the significance. Awakening isn't anything I'd recommend to my friends. As I said in our last conversation, awakening is cruel. It is cruel in so many ways. No, I wouldn't recommend it to my friends because then they would blame me for it once they were emerged into its depths, of course. No, so I say, please, dear friend, keep both eyes closed for as long as you possibly can. But you know, in spite of my advice to those with two eyes closed, in spite of my advice, one eye is going to awaken sooner or later anyway. One eye is going to start peeking because there's something within the eyes of the blind who can feel that others are starting to open their eyes as well. And you know how humans are. They just want to get a peek. But in awakening, there are no peaks. No. There is not a peep show in awakening. The men laugh, of course. Because once the eye starts to open, once the awareness starts to come in, you can't stop it. Once you have a little bit of awareness, it begs full awareness, full awareness. It has been my pleasure to work with all of you over these past few years as your eyes started to come open, as that one eye grew open, wide, big, as you came to this point of stopping, saying, I'm not sure it's such a good idea to open that other eye. And I would tell my friends, and I would tell Shambhala, then don't. Then don't. But in spite of what I say, that other eye is going to come open. It is going to come open in spite of you. And it's going to come open because awareness desires more of itself. Awareness continues to ask for more awareness, for the dissolution of false realities, for the awareness of itself, and ultimately the feeling, the experience of love for itself. So that other eye will come open, and you can resist it. You can try to force it shut. You can go so far as to sew it shut, and it will come open. That's also the good news. That's also where we are. Somewhere in between being blind and having vision. Here we are.